Okay, so here we have 2003. It's actually a Metropolitan, which is made by US Pipe and Steel. This is the M94 model. They have two different ones. Anyway, this one, like a lot of them, it's leaking out of the bonnet. It's very difficult to operate. So we're going to do a bonnet rebuild on these, and you can actually order a rebuild kit. Now you see there's some parts that are painted in, so we'll have to brush those loose before we try taking them out. It helps to get them out. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, so here's your keeper pin for your weather cap, and then here is your bolt for the bonnet. You can see that it's got a lot of paint built up in there, so we want to clean that out real good. This stuff in there real good. You don't want anything working against you and have you accidentally strip that out. So then we use an impact, which you can use any of the different impacts. It's a 7/32 Allen. Set in there good. Give it a couple of taps in reverse. And there you go. That's the best way. Sometimes they will strip out, and then you have to very carefully drill it out. But fortunately for us, this came out just fine, so we'll be able to reuse that one. So we've got your pin here, and if you look, this side is flush. This side over here is actually recessed. The pin doesn't go all the way through. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive from this side and drive it out this way. Because this has been hit on and it's flared out a little bit, it won't go all the way through. So if you try to push it that way, you'll be fighting against yourself. So this side over here, show you real quick. You can see that's recessed, set back in there. So that'll allow us to drive it right on out. They don't always come out that easy. A couple of flat bars can help with this part. Just wiggle it back and forth. So on US Pipe and Steel, this is actually called a weather cap, and this is called a revolving nut. For most, it would be called your operating nut, but it's a revolving nut in their terms. Now, one of the things that you have happen all the time is the grease that was originally in here gets really, really hard. If we were servicing this, all we would have to do is take this weather cap off and put new grease down in there, and then operate the hydrant regularly, of course. But this has been here a while. The grease has gotten hard. I'll show you that. So you can see that's, it's not like hard like a rock, but it's a thick putty. So of course it is not doing the job that was originally intended. And there is a travel stop nut right there on top. It's a 15/16 travel stop nut. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just go ahead and get the tool from Mueller for these hydrants. It's this tool. It has your 15/16 socket on there. So the socket's still in there, or the nut's still in there. You have a little stop Allen right there, so we'll undo that, and all that does is keeps this from unthreading. Now if you've watched some of my other videos, I mention this all the time. This is what's called a thrust nut or a hold down nut, and what it does is keeps this revolving nut or operating nut from coming up when you're opening the fire hydrant. Instead it shoves the stem down, so this holds it in place. Now, if you watch my other videos, I've said this. If you have they're all reverse thread unless you have a keeper. Well, this one has a keeper, so this will not be reverse thread. It's standard threads. And that tool, that Mueller tool that I was telling you about, it has the right piece for taking that off. Sit it on there. There you go. Sometimes you'll have to tap it with a hammer, but this tool will not take very much abuse. They do break. I've actually broken a few of them. So there's the hold down nut. Now we got to take this revolving nut out of here. Grab me a little bit of oil, please. So getting this revolving nut out here is very difficult. I mean, this hydrant is very hard to operate. So we're going to try a couple things. First thing we do is just stick a screwdriver in there and see if we can get it to come on out. If not, we'll actually reassemble the weather cap and just use a hydrant wrench. That's not too bad. Like I said, if this was extremely difficult, we would go ahead and just put the weather cap back on there and then unscrew it, and it would come out. And you can see, because that thrust nut's not in there, now my revolving nut is coming up. Now, you can get a kit for these to replace all the seals. This one has 2 O-rings right in there. Let's see if I can get that. Let's see. There we go. So you got 2 O-rings right in there that need to be replaced. It also has this friction bearing that needs to be replaced. Of course, those come in the kit. And then there's a couple of O-rings in the bonnet as well. We'll pull that off and take a look at that too. So now we got to get the bonnet off where it took that travel stop, or that bolt there. Just a 1/4 of a turn. Sometimes you'll have to tap this with a hammer and pull on it. About a 1/4 of a turn and this lifts right off. Now, once again, this was leaking real bad through the top. So you'll see there's 2 O-rings right in there that have to be replaced. And we definitely want to replace this bonnet gasket. See, it's gone completely flat. Probably on this side, you can't even feel the edge there. And so that's probably where it's leaking mostly, but it leaks water out. That's no good. So we'll replace that too. All right, so bonnet gasket, piece of cake. Let's dig that out of there. We'll put grease on this one. Here's your bonnet rebuild kit. This comes just like that in a plastic bag, piece of cake, got everything I need. We're gonna grease that channel real good first. That'll help hold this in. You want to gently push this in. You'll see it's squared. It's not a round one. So you want to gently push it in. Try to get it to stick in place. It is too big. It always is. I don't care what they say. It's too big. But you're going to gently work that in there. And the good thing about that grease, put all this grease on here, when you put the bonnet on and turn it to quarter turn, you won't have to worry about this O-ring getting out of the channel and leaking again. It's very frustrating to put these all the way back together and have them start leaking. But it does happen, even if you do everything right. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the revolving nut. And we're going to replace those O-rings. All right, so here's your O-ring kit. There's, of course, the friction bearing. You'll notice you've got those two are identical size. These two are identical size. This one's just a little bit smaller than those, and of course this one's a little bigger. So now I've got my kit set up how I need it. So these two right here will actually go inside that revolving nut. See those two? Go ahead and pull those out for me, Rylan. So you want to be gentle with that pick. You don't want to gouge the brass in there. Replace those two, and then we'll fill that up with grease. We're also going to take our wire brush and brush down the outside pretty good, especially these surfaces that make a lot of contact. Cleaning those up with a wire wheel brush really makes them just flow a little bit smoother. Yeah, you see those O-rings going nice and easy. Like I said, we'll grease those. We'll grab the bonnet next, and we'll put these two O-rings in the bonnet. We'll also grease those O-rings. Go ahead, Ryan. I'll tell you what, before you put those O-rings in, go ahead and take that back out. Turn that bonnet upside down, or right side up. Let's take a look at the inside of that. Yeah, let's go ahead and get that brush and brush the inside of this real quick. So this one's not real bad, but we're gonna go ahead and clean it up just a little bit better. Just take that brush and just brush that inside real good. And then we'll wipe it out with a rag. This one, like I said, this one's not too bad, but man, we get some where we'll get like a half a cup of junk out of there. Get a blue shop towel, wipe that out real good. If you have a bunch of stuff in there, like a bunch of gunk, it actually might help to go ahead and get you know, some lubricating oil and wipe it down with that, but this one's not too bad. So he's got that just about cleaned out, and we can go ahead and replace those O-rings that are missing on the bottom side. So now when Rylan replaced the O-rings in this revolving nut, he did make one mistake. you don't put the old ones back where your new ones are. We try to work as a team most of the time, although right now I'm just a camera guy while Ryland does all the work. But we try to work as a team, and you don't want your teammate to come over and think you hadn't got that one done yet and pull the new O-rings out and put the old ones in. And that does happen, especially when you're tired and not paying attention. All right, so now we got that. So we'll coat this with some grease. Like I said, we'll pour a bunch of grease down inside this, but we're gonna do that after we brush this off. Where's that brush? That brush over here for me. So, you don't want to brush too long because we don't want to remove a bunch of metal and have the O-rings not be able to seal anymore. So just light brushing. There we go. So all we're doing is removing the buildup that was on there. That's good. Now we can pump grease in these. And you didn't see it, but we've already brushed the threads right there too. So the threads are nice and clean and ready. Sorry. So, what's next? It's nice to see Ryland is going to put that bonnet on to about a quarter turn. Nope, it didn't sit down all the way. There you go. You can see that difference, how it just sat down. And what you'll notice is that operating stem, or the upper stem, the top of it is almost even with the top of the bonnet now. Now he'll do that just till the travel stops. And then we can put the keeper bolt right in the front. Notice I didn't use an impact on that. It just has to be in there. It doesn't have to be tight. That just keeps the bonnet from twisting. So it's got a point in there that bolt goes into, keeps it from twisting while you're operating the hydrant. So it's a piece of cake. Now we're going to grease up this channel a little bit in here. Now you'll see Ryland's got that, he put that new bearing on that op nut, just slid it on there, and now we're going to twist that on down in there. Now remember, they had to have a cheater bar to get this thing to operate before, and it was leaking out of the bonnet really bad. And so you'll see what it's like once we're done with this. It's a pretty quick repair. I mean, this is real time, and we're at almost 20 minutes now. So anyway, we'll see. Nut. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good. He reminded me. So the thrust nut has an O-ring right here, needs to be replaced, and that's this this one here. Where's that? That one right there. This one will actually go back in our weather cap here. See that O-ring in there? So he's replacing that one, and I'll pull this one out. All right, so now he'll just put that right back on there. And remember, that's threaded correctly. I say correctly, it means it's not reverse threads. That's how I probably should explain it. Now, we want to make sure this is snug. So what we'll do is we'll get it lined up. Go ahead, Tommy. He's gonna tap it just 3 times right there. There we go. Just to make sure it's nice and snug, and then I'll tighten this down. There's no need to hammer on it really hard. Just 3 light taps with a 3-pound hammer. You're good to go. Which actually, I think that one's a 4-pound. Close enough. No need to get crazy with this. You'll strip that out. So now he just lines the holes up. And this one went way easier than they do most of the time, but once again, if you're doing one of these and you have run into some problems or something, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find me at thefirehydrantguy@gmail.com. All right, so let's go ahead and test that. Let's pull that cap off there. So now we've got it done. We're just gonna make sure that the flow is good and smooth. Whoa. So once again, this was leaking really bad from under the bonnet, and of course it was very difficult to operate. And you saw that, it's nice and smooth. Let's go ahead and shut it back down. This hydrant's been here over 20 years, and admittedly has had not a lot of maintenance, and so but notice that Ryland's not like slamming it closed all the way. It's nice and smooth. Water shuts off. Hydrant's good. So there you go. That's a rebuild on a US Pipe and Steel Metropolitan 2003 fire hydrant.